Hello everyone. The Indian Medical Association of Queensland has been running a public health lecture series since March 2020. Our members, who are doctors of Indian origin and practice in this wonderful state of Queensland, they volunteered their valuable time and expertise in this endeavour. The advice given by any doctor is of general nature and meant for information and education only. Please note, this is no substitute for your own healthcare professional, and everyone is advised to consult with their own treating physician for ongoing health issues. I will now ask the Secretary-General of IMAQ Queensland, Dr. Cyril Fernandez, to introduce to you our guest speaker of this month.
I want to conceptualize everything which has been said, to put it across to a person, and that person I've chosen as Simran. Simran is a very common name, Punjabi name in India. This picture is about Ja Simran Ji Le Apni Zindagi. This is about a famous Bollywood movie which shows about 3.5 hours of drama, emotional drama, songs, dancing, where a father lets go of his daughter and gives her permission, go and live with this boy who loves you immensely. He permits a woman to go and live with other man. My responsibility is finished of protecting you, other man's responsibility is there. So just put that in a context. A real life story. Many years ago, Harpreet and I were at home and someone knocked at our door, and that was Simran, our neighbor. She claimed her husband was not letting her meet her siblings, and her siblings are there across the end of the street. There was no one there. She was crying, and I saw her husband walking slowly, and we offered her to come inside. She said no, and her husband said, look, she'll be all right. Took her back home. Now looking back, what could be done differently? Wearing a psychiatrist hat, because at that time I was just a registrar training to be a psychiatrist. I conceptualized, who is Simran? Simran is a daddy's princess from Indian perspective. I'm trying to explain and paint a picture of Indian cultural context in this. She's got two older brothers who are always there to protect Simran from the harsh world of men around. And back in India, if a woman is raped, she has got the black face to the society, so she commits suicide. Or the elders of the society make her marry that man who has raped her. That's not uncommon. She goes to school, becomes a school teacher, and society expects her to get married and look after the new family. There comes a proposal from a boy in Australia. He's got very good life here. We don't know, he could be doing whatever in Australia, but the family has portrayed very nice. Proposal has come. And the dowry, people who don't know about the dowry, that's some money given to the daughter and a new husband, or daughter's family, or the girl's family, to make her living. And boy's family can demand dowry, demand it. Only in Victoria we got the rules against, regulations against dowry, not in Queensland. Just keep a note of that. Because your girl will get a better life in Australia. And the responsibility of caring for Simran moves from her father to her new husband. And Simran goes to a new country, new culture, new language. Husband is not caring. He's expecting her to be different. He earns and controls expense. There's a talk of power and control comes up. Because he has to save for a new house. Simran is very lonely. She tries spending time with other women in the same boat. She goes to temple regularly, and she tries to come to a peace with a new identity where she has to just smile. She gets lonely but can't talk to her own family back home, as she's expected to sacrifice for developing a new home on her own. That's her duty. If a woman goes back to her parental home, she's sent back. No, it's wrong. She falls pregnant and delivers a baby boy. The whole boy's side family is happy. It's a boy. Her own family can't come, but her in-laws are there to remind Simran of her duties. We all know what duties are. Periods of isolation, anxiety, and depression are minimized. 4 walls and a ceiling, the vacant look. An occasional walk to the park is all Simran has got. What about Simran's own emotional well-being and identity? Though she gets lots of praise from her own family and friend because she's got such a nice husband and such a nice household. And she's given a boy. At what cost? Emotional cost is not seen. Simran gets snappy and moody, which is all hormonal. Child keeps her awake at night. She's expected to march on. She just starts to deteriorate in her physical well-being, psychological well-being. But There's immense guilt being thrown on her because she's not looking after the child. And why she's complaining to the other women because you got everything. She tries talking to her husband, but husband needs some time when he's back home with a glass of scotch or alcohol, whatever, because he's got lots of stress at work. And of course, Simran should be there for his physical desires at night. Headaches and migraines in Simran, go and see a GP. She can't talk to an English doctor. She can't speak English that fluently. Going to a doctor from her own cultural background will become a shame for her because it will be out in the community. Everyone will talk about her. She can't talk. And her friends will say, why you're tired? You got everything you got. And this is another thing which I've seen and experienced it. Harpreet and I have seen that many women in this, they just are taken to society to portray that they got a status. Wife is a trophy where they take that they've got a complete family. She's not talking, sitting in a corner. But husband's so jovial, she's odd. She's just odd. Simran crashes her car when dropping her child to school. She gets guilty. Now she has to pay the third-party damages and blah, blah. She's guilty. She's worried. And more guilt is thrown on her husband who were trying to save for the house. Simran gets more confused. And then she sees her husband kissing a colleague. She loses it. She gets strong pushback that it's your fault. You're frigid. You're not understanding. You try to change the world and the times. This happens. She talks to her own family. Her mums would say, move on. Move on. Men do that. Move on. Verbal arguments, physical alterations. But there's a term called intersectionality, which I will use it later on. Each individual has got their own past. Physical altercation reminds her of their own trauma, which she has never disclosed to anyone. But who was there to listen to that? We don't have time for emotional aspects. Then she gets mental health label as pagal. Pagal is a term in India called mad. She's mad. Bruises on her body start to fade away, but heart and soul is damaged. But she marches on. She marches on. So that's the background. The reason I portrayed this story was I knew of the last speaker. We had to put a person in context. When we talk about these figures, we have to understand there's a person. And from cultural context, this Simran is a person. Harpreet and I could have done something differently if we were aware of this a long time ago. But we are going through a journey. Family violence, when people say, what is it, family violence? People have described it. It's a global public health, social and human rights issue. It affects us all. It affects every culture. Even our own Indian culture, which is portrayed as very nice, colorful, it affects us. We just don't talk about it. We hide behind the colors. We hide it. And when people talked about power and control, where is this coming from? We cultivated it. Men want power. Men want power and control. We want it. And this is because of unequal distribution of power, resources, and opportunity in which a different value is afforded to men and women. This has got historical roots in every culture, even in Australia. Society's gender norms, law and policies, creating the social context in which the violence against women keep on occurring. Minimizing any concerns, emotional abuse, using children, using male privilege, is everything carries on. So what can we do? From a psychiatrist perspective, everyone was mentioning about mental health burden. Yes, there is, but you don't need to be a psychiatrist. We need to be part of the society to understand there's a mental health burden on everyone, especially women. We just realized that someone's physically unwell, but someone also got psychologically unwell also. Mental health and addiction plays a role. And when we look at these causal factors, it's easier said than done. I don't want to be portraying men, because I'm a man, to be put in a pedestal of a villain, societal villain. All the news clips will show that men were wrong. But if you look at that, they were seeking help. No one guided them. We assumed that they were men. Men are men. They behave like this. They get drunk and get pissed off and behave in awkward manner because they are men. Liberty has been given to us to behave in whatever manner we want to do because we are men. Get away with it. So we have to understand the key drivers and key contexts and internalized misogyny among women. But all this is possible that it's not only from medical team aspect that doctors can do it, from media outlets. Open the newspaper, you can have a look at this. Police, justice system, and resistance to backlash, and lack of male voice in this. Why we are quiet as a man? I don't know. Why we quiet?
So there you are, ladies and gentlemen. That was this month's Aapka Sehath with Dr. Vikas Mugdil, and thanks to Dr. Cyril Fernandez for bringing this together on a monthly basis. Until next month, it's goodbye from us.